Today's topic is tips on how to prepare for the athletic recruiting process. So, a lot of you who follow me and listen to my podcasts or videos on YouTube, I often forget that there's a lot of people who are brand new to the recruiting process and haven't started yet and just kind of want to know what's ahead or what they should be doing. So, this podcast is for you. If you are somebody who is already in the recruiting process, you may just want to listen and make sure that you have done these things. Although, when I look through these points, I can honestly say there is no perfect way to begin the recruiting process. Some athletes begin their senior year, so it's going to look a lot different. Some athletes begin or want to start in the fall or before ninth grade. So everybody's different. So your starting point will dictate whether or not some of these tips will apply to you. But here are some of the basics. So number one, I recommend that you start by going to the NCAA website and read the NCAA guide for college-bound student athletes. They update it every single year. It's all about Division I, II, and III athletics. It talks about all kinds of things, the recruiting calendar, which typically you'd be guided with an advisor, or once you're in the recruiting process, it's not something you have to know, but there are some pieces on the calendar that are helpful, and it can be different for each sport. So you're going to see that. So you want to look it up based on the sport that you plan to do or hope to do in college. But the number one thing is to get educated. And I think education and research, that's exactly where we start with JH Consulting with our clients. I know a lot of athletes think, and parents, when they hire us, that the first thing we're going to do is jump right into the recruiting process and talking to college coaches. Well, that does happen for some recruits, but it's usually those recruits are at the level pretty much as the schools they desire. They've already been reaching out. So it's a little bit different. But if you're a family that just wants to learn about the recruiting process or understand what's going to be ahead, I would say the number one thing is to get educated as much as you can by going to, like I said, to the NCAA website. And they do have a guide for parent and the athlete. It's very good. Number two, gather all the necessary academic information that you're going to need for each university that you desire. So SAT and ACTs testing kind of went away during COVID, but now it's coming back. So be sure that you go to your guidance counselor at school, find out when those things are going to be happening and how that will impact the schools that you desire. So even if you're a college athlete, you need to kind of have an idea of, will the coaches want my SAT score on the early side, earlier than regular students? Yes, if it's a strong academic school, they love getting your baseline score, even though you may take it over and over, but it kind of gives them an idea if you're going to have a shot at their university. And I'm talking about for gymnastics, the Ivy League, Stanford, UNC, GW, William and Mary. They all are pretty much looking for athletes who they know can score well enough to get through admissions. All right, number three, gather the necessary athletic information. So for gymnastics, you're going to want to have a plan for your social media, which is typically on Instagram. You're going to want to have created eventually an introduction email, but I don't recommend sending that out until you're at the level of the schools you desire. More importantly would be to gather information about, honestly, if you're prior to ninth grade, what college camps and showcases and fall clinics are going to be right for you. And I can tell you this, it's really hard to pick those. Most families pick the wrong ones because they just don't know. They don't know that some schools recruit really early. You have to be a level 10 on the early side or an elite. Other schools are looking for certain all around. But gather, your necessary athletic information and be sure that you go to the NCAA website and uh, register with the Eligibility Center. That's going to be really important. So you want to gather your coaches for your introduction email. You're going to want to gather your coaches' information, the cell phone they want to use to be contacted. You're going to need your different things about you that'll go in the Eligibility Center information, registration, your grades, your test scores, things like that. So all those things are important. They are recommending you fill out the eligibility form, I believe, your freshman year now. It used to be more, they would say by your junior year, but now they're saying that. So I don't think it's a deal breaker, but you may want to get that done. And then you update it each year. The fourth thing would be to gather videos. In most sports, you're going to be gathering videos, and in gymnastics, you're going to be posting it to, the main one is Instagram. Now, some sports, it's more Twitter, like football and basketball, I've heard. So everybody's a little bit different. All right. So gather your videos, and then the next thing would be timing your filling out questionnaire forms that are online on each athletic website page, because sometimes we fill those out too soon and we can't list the skills that that school is going to want. Maybe you're going to have it next year, those skills, those 10 start values. So if that's the case, don't feel a rush to fill out questionnaire forms. I would wait until you're at their level and can actually put the skills that we know they're going to want to see. But if you're later in the process, get those questionnaire forms filled out for sure. Number 6, get organized. I know at JH Consulting, we have a tracking form for our athletes that we give them so they can list the schools when they start emailing, who they emailed, what did they say, what did the college coach respond. It really helps the athlete to stay organized. And I say pick one day a week to work on it. Don't work on it every single day. It can get a little daunting and a little stressful. Number 7, just make sure that you are patient. I think most of the time families think when their athlete is in 9th grade, they should start the recruiting process. And in their mind, it means reaching out to coaches. But I can tell you this, if you are patient and you quote unquote start the process when you're at the level of the schools you desire, you're going to get a lot more responses, and you're going to get college coaches that'll keep your information and they'll put you on what's called their watch list. So you can't really miss the boat if you time it right. Yeah, there might be some schools that are done recruiting when you are able to send your information when you're at level 10 with 10 start values for college, but that's okay. That's not going to be maybe the place for you. You want to find schools that you can make their lineup. You can get into their school academically. They have your major, and all those baseline things are really important. So I would say take your time, pace yourself just right, doing all these different things, but start with research, start with education. I know at JH Consulting, we meet with our clients, our first session's a get to know you session, and then we do a lot of research together, and it's fun. And we have different PDFs that the girls fill out and they bring them back to each session, and we try to make it interesting, creative, and really applicable. So they are really truly seeing, oh, okay, this school could be a school for me based on academics and the athletic level. So you don't have to rush, and you should have fun with this. Like I said, it's way more enjoyable to the athlete when it's not grueling and stressful. And we don't want to add additional stress to our athletes. So it's really important to start early so you don't have to feel all that pressure of getting things done quickly. College athletics is a blast, especially if you find the right school for your academics and the right team. So it's important to take the time to either hire someone who can really help you and give you inside scoop, or really do your research and get to the right fall clinics and summer camps. That's something I would highly recommend, and most families struggle with that. So be sure you're asking the right questions and don't panic if you're late to the game, because you're still going to find whatever is the right fit for you for at your level. And everybody's at a different level. And the higher the team is ranked, the earlier they're going to start recruiting. And if that's not you at their level, then so be it. It's okay. You're going to find something that fits you best, so that you're not sitting on the bench and you're participating and you are actually making an impact on the team. And I think that's when college athletics is the most fun. So those are some of my tips for families who are just getting started in the recruiting process and understanding a little bit of what's could be ahead.